everybody. Welcome to the town hall for June 2025. I am organizing this via remote. It's an asynchronous coming together as one town hall. Traveling around visiting my lovely daughter in beautiful Denver, Colorado. Pretty light news month. We skipped the core release this month after a couple of rapid fire core releases last month on 9.4. So if you haven't checked out 9.4, you definitely should. Doing some work on Marketplace, making it easier to renew licenses, throwing a couple features in there for the PRB crew. Should see that come out later in the month, but all in all, pretty lightweight for a summer month here. And let's just get right into it.
Hi, everybody. Let's start out with our GitHub thank yous. First, thank you to Milos Pavic, Asani Kubota, Dan Klassen, Visual Notes, AOL Rogi, Moriai, Hishi, Jans Carton, Nick Radering, Man Chicken 1911, RL Hawk 1, Click Park Dominic, Ashish Anau, Biplo Bice, KH Design Verine DE, Matilda Jandova, EBMU DREMYC, Mlokati, Bitterdev, and Biplo Bice. Thanks, everybody, and apologies if I butchered some of those names. Those were a real trial by fire right there. Yeah, thanks, everybody. It's a real pleasure working in open source with all of you. Next, I wanted to share an issue spotlight. This issue did stick out to me, and it's much appreciated. It is PHP 8.4 Composer install fails. This is not some revolutionary new code or fixing some long-standing bug, but it's, Concrete has many moving parts, and doing a release is, always very busy, and there's always a lot to keep track of, and we all have other stuff to do as well as the release. So it's not surprising when, certain code paths come together that we don't see in our day-to-day lives, and but really impact people who are trying to use Concrete in new ways. So here is an example of someone using Concrete. They're using Concrete under PHP 8.4, which 9.4 supports, which is great. And they're having an issue installing it under Composer. And that's not surprising. We haven't done any Composer-based installs ourselves on PHP 8.4 because we're not using it. And when I'm doing local testing with PHP 8.4, I'm not using the Composer install. So it's not too surprising that no one would have encountered this up until now, and we might not have even seen it if we weren't paying attention for a few months, or if someone hadn't brought it to our attention. So checking in on this, Dan Klassen lets us know that it won't install under PHP 8.4, gives us the detailed information, because if someone just said, it doesn't install under 8.4, the first thing I'm going to ask them to do is to give me the output, because I don't have a Composer-based install on PHP 8.4 I can spin up very easily, since my Docker stuff is all just kind of bundled together. So looking at it, he's already done that. He has the information nicely parceled out, and he even has a thought as to what he thinks it could be, which is a particular package not being up to date with 8.4. And that would be helpful on its own. We'd kind of probably have to start worrying about patching it, something along those lines. And Mlokati helpfully joins this to a discussion in the forums, which is great because I'm not always as active in the forums as I used to be or as I wish I could be. And then finally, he cuts to the chase and says, we might be able to fix this by switching to Plesk Laminas Mail, which to me looks like a fork of this particular package that the Plesk organization has decided to use properly because they need it, same as us. It's nice to see someone else taking the lead on that. So, no one's doing the work here to do that, which is fine, but this is saving so much time for us, for us to keep us from having to do all of the debugging and all the troubleshooting, figuring this stuff out. We really have an easy path forward and a real light at the end of the tunnel here for this particular issue. So thanks to Mlokati and to Dan Klassen and to everyone in GitHub for keeping this engine moving.
Hello, Concrete CMS community. I'm Noor, and today John and I will be presenting to you the new batch of plugins from the Concrete Marketplace for June 2025. Let's start with Box Gallery by Steve B. This gallery lets you select a file set and open its images in a pop-up. The gallery can be displayed either as the traditional grid of thumbnails or as a single thumbnail, and images are automatically lazy loaded. Aside from the usual, it offers design options like shadows, borders, background color, alignment, number of columns, and make it easy to match your website design. Box Gallery is available in the marketplace for $25. Next, we have Image Floats, also by Steve B. It's a set of 2 templates for the core image block. By default, images in that block are left aligned. One of these templates will center the image, and the other template will align it to the right. It's simple and potentially very useful, and it's free in the marketplace. A third plugin is Alert Pop-up by Michele Locari, aka M. Locari. This plugin lets you display rich text content in a model. You have control over what element will trigger the model, a button, a link, or your own custom trigger. The model's design can be customized in size, but also in backdrop color, border, and animation. Because the content is rich text, you can have anything that will go in Concrete's editor. Style text, images, videos, tables, the sky's the limit. This plugin is also totally free in the marketplace, and you can also get it from GitHub. Check the market page for details. And our fourth plugin is Random Image from Set by Gary Brown. Very simply, you select a file set to display a random image from it. It can either display a different image on each page load, or rotate the images randomly at a set interval without refreshing the page. And you can also control the size of the image. Simple and efficient. And since the Concrete CMS community is a very giving one, this one is also totally free. That's all from my list of plugins with names that leave nothing to the imagination, and I'm passing the mic on to John for the rest of this month's bounty. See you around.
Thank you, Noor. Now the rest of the add-ons are all by Fabian Bitter. We have 4 free add-ons and then 4 add-ons that are priced at $25 each. Responsive Spacings provides padding and margin classes that adapt to screen size. Fade-in Sections provides classes that you can add to anything to fade them in as they scroll into view. Animated Logo Slider is a template for the core gallery block to show images as a carousel. Simple Toastify Notifications provides notifications using the Toastify pop-up library. Now we're on to the paid add-ons. Card formats an image, some text and a button as a card. It's $25 in the marketplace. There are plenty of blocks already that provide Google Maps or use Google Maps as part of their functionality. This Map Styles block adds styling to any other map on the page. It's $25 in the marketplace. With Visual Tips, you can add interactive hot points to an image that then pop up tooltips. Visual Tips is $25 in the marketplace. Login Notifications keeps track of device signatures for any device you have used to log into your site. It then sends you an email whenever a new device is used with your login credentials. Login Notifications is $25 in the marketplace. We now come to the end of this month's news, so until next time, be safe.
Let's take a quick look at the Guess ESG report website. So this is Guess Jeans that we're all familiar with. This site is where Guess shares what they're doing to be a responsible company. So things like protecting the environment, supporting communities, making sure their business is more sustainable. It's part of their environmental, social, and governance reporting. So it's cool. It's built in Concrete CMS. Ooh, look at these nice stats here. Can continue to go down. Easy for their team to update and manage all this information without needing to call a developer at any time. It shows their goals, their progress in simple charts, and talks about real efforts in reducing waste. And it's easy to read on both desktop and mobile. Overall, it's great example of how Concrete helps brands share their values in a clear, trustworthy way. Take a look at here, this scrolling. I'm just scrolling down and it's going sideways, reading like a book. This is a very awesome graphic. Getting things done, and here we go. There's their assessment for all of their topics. You talk about the different materials they use in packaging. You can download, see what, and then you can download all of their fiscal year reports. This is very cool. Thank you.
Next, I want to try and lend some insight into some forum threads that were brought to my attention. In advance, I'm going to say you might not like these answers. I never said that the answers would always be, the exact answers that people would hope to get. But hopefully, this will get people going in the right direction, or let people stop spinning their wheels looking for something that may simply not be there. So the first one I wanted to talk about is manage events for a multilingual site. And this one here, I'm currently building a multilingual website using Concrete CMS 939, and I'm using the native calendar and events feature. No harm there. I understand that events are tied to a specific calendar, but I haven't found a practical way to manage translated versions of each event. The only workaround I see is to create a separate calendar, etc. I'd like to reuse the same calendar in different languages, display translated event content depending on the active language. That does sound awesome. Unfortunately, that's not how the calendar works today. I absolutely would see the optimal way for the calendar working in a multilingual environment would be one calendar, if you wanted this, one calendar with languages that you could opt into based on the active ones in your tree, and then the ability to kind of copy events out to different calendars, instances, for lack of a better word, for the different multilingual trees for a calendar. However, there's no functionality of that kind built into the calendar at all today. And I don't actually even remember if there's a way to mark a calendar as using a specific language. There might be. I don't recall. I would be surprised if that were the case. I imagine the best way to do this, what you're probably going to have to do is just create separate calendars for each language and just name them appropriately, maybe even putting the country code in the calendar name, since the calendar name isn't displayed on the front end. And then, yeah, you're going to have to copy events between the calendars manually. And that does sound like it could be potentially difficult to handle. But, practically speaking, you might find it is nice to not have a strict one-to-one relation between every single event in every single calendar. So I don't know if that's going to be helpful to you, but hopefully this keeps you from spinning your wheels looking for something that's not there. And, TacTac, you are on the right track with your initial idea that you would just use separate calendars. Definitely approach that, and I hope that I hope this helps. Next question. Profile picture doesn't work. On one of my sites, the profile picture page does not work. Only a blank square appears on the page account avatar. Console shows a view error, no URL provided. I suspect the image has been removed maybe, or it somehow got saved without a value. I honestly have no idea. I've never seen this error before. I suspect you should try to just remove the avatar from the user and try re-uploading it. And I hope that helps you. 5XX, server error for calendar feed. We haven't had having any failures, but we got alerted to an error going to this feed. Concrete controller calendar feed view requires you provide a value for the identifier argument. And actually, I can even click on this and look at it. You provide a value for the identifier argument. Looking at this in the core, that route requires a parameter named calendar_ID, but the controller method requires a method argument name of identifier. I suspect we had identifier first, and then we changed the method signature, and we just never updated the controller here to have calendar ID instead of identifier. And so what that gets us is a mismatch. And since the core is looking for calendar ID and only finds identifier, it doesn't think that it should use this method, even though it absolutely should. So in short, this is a bug. I believe you could probably fix it by hacking calendar feed view to use calendar ID instead of identifier. But we should get a GitHub issue created for this. And if we could, it would be a simple fix to get in the next 9.4 branch. So everybody, I hope this helps you. Thanks again for being so active in our forums and for answering so many questions. Everybody, it's a real pleasure to work with a vibrant open source community. And with that, I will hand it back to Franz.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for your contributions, for the community, for all of your help with in GitHub and the forums, and for the team for sending me those videos. So I'll see you all online. Thanks so much.